Good afternoon, Corey Ingber, coming from Ingber Weinberg, 3 Minutes with Ingber Weinberg, and today's topic is a familiar one, and that's the panel selection process. What happens when you don't know any of the doctors? And we'll go through my 8-step program. Before I do that, keep in mind that the date of service must be monitored. In other words, if you're served with a panel from opposing counsel, remember you have 5 extra days if you were served by mail within which to make your strike. If you're the requesting party, you only have 10 days from the date that the panel is issued. Always remember that day 1 is the next day, not the same day. Check the addresses of each physician on the panel, because you may find that one or more seem to be at the same address, but in fact you'll find out that they're not in group practice. They're in fact associated through some enabling administrative company that allows them to write reports, but that's not a group practice. And the group practice exception would allow you to request another panel. If you're lucky enough to know which doctor to strike, that is the doctor know, then make the strike. We have our own database here in the firm, but I caution you about keeping a database. What I do think you should do is have a list of doctor knows, but don't put any information in there. You don't want that subpoenaed. You don't want to be in harm's way of any lawsuit. And do that at the request and recommendation of your counsel, whether it's corporate counsel, general counsel, outside counsel. Keep a list of doctor knows. Don't put any defaming or any deleterious information, just doctor knows. And that should be a universal list that you keep with the recommendation of counsel, so it's protected by the attorney work-client work product privilege and the attorney-client communication privilege, hopefully. Anyway, but we're here to talk about when you don't have a doctor no. You have a doctor question mark and you don't know who to strike. So let's go through the 8-step program. Number 1, I will call the offices of each doctor to find out who's available. Why? It's strategic. Let's say I don't really like one of the doctors, but the other 2 are just okay, so-so, and I find out that they are so booked in advance that they can't see the applicant within 60 days, and now it's 90 with the COVID regulations, 46, I think, .2b is in boy. So let's say that doctor who's kind of on the fence with me, they're booked up. I may actually strike another doctor, hoping that that is our QME, and then I can declare it the basis for a new panel, a replacement panel, because that doctor can't schedule within 90 days of time under the new regulations. So it's a strategic thing. I want to know when each QME is available. I also ask, do you treat injured workers on a lien basis? If they say yes, that is a red flag for me, probably a strike coming from that disclosure. Step 2, I go on the DWC website and I check the DWC database to see that the QMEs are all on the list, active, and that none of them were disciplined. I want to make sure that they're on the list and that they have offices. Now, I count the number of offices. There was a prior regulation where they couldn't see patients out of more than 10 offices, but they get around that by using these administrative offices. So counting offices is a waste of time, but for the sake of just appearance, if I have a QME with 19 offices versus one with 3, and I don't know anything else about the doctors, all things left aside, I'm probably going to strike that doctor. Finally, look at the medical unit discipline list. That's important, that's online. And look at the criminally charged providers list. That's online. Check the provider suspension list. Obviously, you don't want to use a QME that's been suspended, but it's something you should check. I also routinely check the medical boards, whether it's a chiropractor or orthopedic surgeon. You'll get some information about where they went to school, where they were resident, and whether or not they're board certified. That also applies to the Board of Psychology, separate websites. If you want to contact us, we have copies of these materials. And finally, number 7, well actually 7 and 8. 7, I check the WCAB panel decisions through Lexis. And I want to see if this doctor or the 3 doctors are coming up as treaters or as doctors whose opinions were rejected. That's important for me. Finally, step 8. I know I'm running over, but this is a long topic. Google search and social media and LinkedIn. I like to see if there's anything there. Also, sometimes you'll do a Google search and find out that the QME that you wanted to strike is actually a very well regarded practicing physician with real offices and hospital privileges. So a Google search, Facebook, not a bad idea. And between those 8 steps, you should have a pretty good idea who to strike and who not to. Again, keep your Dr. No list without any pertinent information, so you keep it with just Dr. No. Anyway, I hope all of you had a great 4th of July, and stay safe and healthy, and thank you. And if you have any questions, call or email us, and I'll be here. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.